We're back again with another Premier League predictions, aren't we? So, as per usual in these Premier League predictions, we're going to go through our last week's predictions, Game Week 14, see what we got right, see what we got wrong. We got quite a bit wrong, I'm not going to lie. And then we're just going to move on to Game Week 15 predictions and see if we can do any better, because it was a shambles. So, we start off with the first match of last week, and that was Leicester versus Man City. I predicted 4-1 to Man City, but it was actually just 1-0. Leicester played an ultra-defensive lineup, and it worked very well for them. City could not break them down for a lot of the match. They only conceded 1 goal to a City without Haaland, which probably reason why they didn't score many goals, but Leicester still defended for their lives. The game was very much controlled by City though. They had much more of the ball, but they just couldn't break down Leicester in any meaningful way. They only managed 1 goal from a free kick. So yeah, I mean, Leicester's defence was on it today. It just shows really how much Man City are relying on Haaland for goals this season, and you know what, Leicester, they held out well despite the onslaught from City. It's impressive, not gonna lie. And then we move on to Newcastle United versus Aston Villa. Now I predicted 3-2 to Newcastle. It's actually 4-0. Man, Villa put 4 past Brentford last week, and then got 4 put past them this week. What a time for Villa, eh? This Newcastle side is doing very well this season, though. Whatever Eddie Howe is feeding them is paid dividends, because they're just very on form this week. In this season, to be honest. It's very, very crazy to see that they very much could get Europe this season. There are players at the team that weren't performing well under Bruce, but Eddie Howe's can completely transform them, and their quality was really shown here. Almiron continues to score goals, and Callum Wilson also bagged a brace too, so he's on form as well. He very much could get an England call up. Then move on to Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Now I predicted 3-1 to Tottenham, and it's actually 3-2. Fair enough, but Bournemouth pulled a Forest in my opinion, if you remember the result from that game. Conte decided to rest a couple players in this clash, and it almost backfired, with Spurs going 2 behind before they managed to pull it back. Bournemouth were the much better side for a good chunk of this match as well, and ran Tottenham ragged, with Kiefer Moore having an absolutely outstanding game before Conte brought those players he was resting on and turned the game around. Credit to Sessegnon for starting the comeback though. It was a very, very last minute goal from Bentancur that managed to give Tottenham all 3 points, but for the longest time they looked like they could have lost this match, which would have not been good for them. But luckily for Tottenham fans, you managed to beat Bournemouth. Well done, my team couldn't do that. And then move on to Brighton & Hove Albion versus Chelsea. I predicted 2-0 to Chelsea. It was actually 4-1 to Brighton. Potter fumbled the bag horribly here. It was a deserved win for Brighton, as they completely dominated Chelsea from the off and even forced them to score 2 own goals. Potter experimented with his lineup here, and it didn't really work. After shifting his formation back to a more common one though, Chelsea looked better, but couldn't really get into the game. It was too little too late. A deserving masterclass, to be honest. Crystal Palace versus Southampton. Now I predicted a 1-1 draw, but it was actually 1-0 to Crystal Palace. And you know what? I did think this would be a low scoring game, and with only 1 goal to separate the two, I was right. It was an Edouard strike that sank the Saints, and Southampton did push for an equaliser in the second half, but Adams had 2 great chances that he just couldn't finish. Southampton couldn't really get into the game. They couldn't get past Guaita, and yeah, Palace managed to hold out for all those 3 points that were well earned, because they put up a valiant defence in that second half. But yeah, unfortunately for Southampton, they could not break down this Palace side. And now we move on to Brentford versus Wolves. And I predicted 2-0 to Brentford, but it's actually a 1-1 draw. After each team got blasted 4-0 last week, I was thinking that they'd both be looking to right the wrongs and score a couple goals, but that wasn't really the case here. Maybe they're looking to not concede, which is fair enough. They only conceded 1 each. So fair play to not getting blasted 4-0 again. It was all a second half game really. There was no goal in the first half, and all the goal action happened within 2 minutes. Me scored a stunning acrobatic volley, which was then cancelled out by a brilliant Neves strike. Also, Costa saw red for a headbutt on me in the 97th minute, which I believe he could have avoided if he wanted to, and played the game next week, but here we are. Fulham versus Everton. I predicted 2-2. It was actually 0-0, so at least I got that result right, sort of. Pickford, he put in an amazing shift here to save anything for Everton. It's a really good showing of why he's England #1. He denied everything that Fulham threw at him, and he put in a really, really good shift out Everton get that 1 point. DCL did have a goal disallowed, but he's really putting himself in contention for a World Cup spot, so close to the tournament. He's come back off injury and just started scoring goals. One of them was disallowed, but still a goal. And Mitrovic ended with a total of 10 attempts, partly down to Pickford, partly down to him just missing. But yeah, it was a very, very tight game for both sides. And then we're on to Liverpool versus Leeds. I predicted 3-0 to Liverpool. It's actually 2-1 to Leeds, and my god, what a game this was. It wasn't great play from either side, but a very entertaining result. Liverpool slumped to another loss from a team in the relegation zone, and this one was arguably more embarrassing. A well-deserved win for Leeds, as they never gave up, and it paid off with a late Somerville goal. But it was Liverpool's first defeat at Anfield in 30 top-flight matches, which is insane, and it came to Leeds, who I don't think anyone expected to beat Liverpool at home. Rest in peace that VVD record, and yeah, you lost at home to Leeds. Not great. And I also I can't see it's been the last loss at Anfield with the way they're playing this season. It's just shocking. Liverpool did have chances, but Meslier denied them each time. It was a very frustrating day for Liverpool, and I think it's going to continue for a while because something needs to change, and I'm not sure it will. And then move on to Sunday's fixtures, and the first one is Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. I predicted 2-1 to Arsenal. It was 5-0. I'm not surprised we lost, but my god, we look like a completely different side to the one that faced Liverpool and Brighton. I'll take 4 points from those 3 matches. Arsenal tore us apart, especially in that second half, with three goals being scored in 8 minutes. This has become a real habit of ours. We conceded 3 in 6 minutes to Fulham, and now 3 in 8 to Arsenal. It's really not good. We need to shore up our defence. I mean, we did well against Brighton, we did well against Liverpool. I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe because we were at the Emirates, but still, like, that's awful. There were glimpses of quality from us, small chances here and there, but nothing came from them, and ultimately we got battered. Reece Nelson came on for Saka and bagged a brace. He played really well. Like, there's a lot of quality in that kid, and you know what? Fair play to him, because we were awful. Absolutely shocking. We need to turn it around against Brentford, or well, it's going to be a long season either way, but my god. And finally, Manchester United versus West Ham United. And I predicted a 2-2 draw. Actually 1-0 to Man United. It was a very close affair with action at both ends. There easily could have been more goals, to be honest, from either side. It was a really good game to watch. Better than watching Arsenal demolish Forest. As a Forest fan, I say. I think if Rashford can keep scoring in these couple of games before the break, he could creep into the World Cup squad. I think he deserves it personally. Southgate was at this game as well, so, you know, he must have been watching. But there is something else, though. Ronaldo's washed. Normally he'd be putting away them goals, but he missed at least 2 clear-cut chances. I can't remember if they were more, but yeah, he was not. He's only just scoring against Sheriff Tiraspol, not West Ham United. We found his level, boys. We found his level. So yeah, those were last week's fixtures. They were not the greatest for me, if I'm honest, but, you know, made for a bit of good football watching, I guess. But with those done, I think it's time to predict the upcoming game week 15. Some good clashes in here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we're coming up clutch. The World Cup is quite soon, actually. Not that many game weeks left. I think there's 2 or 3 left before the World Cup. So, without further ado, let's jump into it with Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. Nottingham Forest hosts a Brentford side that will be without Ivan Toney due to suspension. Toney saw yellow late on in their clash with Wolves, meaning he is suspended for their trip to Nottingham Forest. So they'll be without their top goal scorer, which hopefully pays dividends for Forest. Thank the Lord for that one, because Forest, you know, we're a better side at home. Our defence can be shaky at times, as we saw, and I think Toney would have exploited that. So luckily, there is no Toney, but they still have goal scorers within their side. I'm going to say 2-1 to Forest. I can actually see Forest beating Brentford here. Brentford are a good side, don't get me wrong, but without Toney, their firepower is going to be significantly diminished. He's got a major part of their goals this season. It's not to say they don't have other goal scorers, they do, but I think without their main goal scorer, we should be able to survive this match. Forest have scored at nearly every home game this season. I think Spurs was the only one we blanked at, but that was Tottenham Hotspur, so I think that's fair, and hopefully we can continue this trend in this match. We need to climb up the table, or we need to do it quick. So yeah, hopefully we can win. Both teams will be very defensive though. However, I can see Forest grinding out a win at the City ground. I think 2-1's a fair shout. I think maybe Lingard will get his first goal, because he's been coming closer each game. Almost scored against Liverpool, very almost scored against Arsenal. Maybe Brentford is the one. And then move on to Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Brighton and Hove Albion. Wolves host a Brighton side that we're feeling lifted after a deserved win over Chelsea. I'm not going to stop that joke. I think it's really good. This is a Wolves side still struggling for goals, and a Chelsea side that's conceded maybe more goals than they should have against Brighton. But Wolves will be without Costa, so that goal scoring absence will still continue despite him not grabbing his first goal yet. I'm going to say 3-1 to Brighton. I can't see Wolves breaking down the visitors here. Trossard has found his shooting boots again and will be looking to continue his goal scoring form.
and you know what? I think he will. Brighton underdeservedly play some really good football, and despite some aggravating results from them, they're a very good team. Both home and away performances are really good, and they'll be looking to start a winning run before the break, and you know what? I think they might do it. And then move on to Manchester City versus Fulham. Man City host the Cottagers in a fixture that Fulham have never won. Haaland is thought to be back for this fixture, but if he is back or not, I still can't see Fulham winning this match either way. It's just about how many goals they lose by. I'm going to say 4-1 to Man City. Whether they have Haaland or not, City are going to score goals for fun in this match. I don't think Fulham will be able to set up as defensively as Leicester have. I don't think their defence is as strong as Leicester's, but I can see Fulham grabbing a goal, maybe through Mitrovic. He's their best player, so I think he'll be able to score a goal at least. But I can't really see it harming City. They're probably a consolation goal if anything. Fulham have played quite well this season, but this is Manchester City we're talking about. A very, very insane side. And then move on to Leeds United versus Bournemouth. Now this is a buoyant Leeds side, just grabbing that win over Liverpool. They're facing a Bournemouth side that almost toppled Tottenham. Now, I'd say these two sides are quite evenly matched at the moment. I feel it could go either way. They both have some similar quality players, but neither side have kept a clean sheet in their previous 5 matches, and I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet here. I'm going to say 2-1 to Leeds. This is a Leeds side that'll be full of confidence after turning over Liverpool at Anfield. I'll be looking to use that against Bournemouth. There'll also be Ellen Road, which will have an electric atmosphere after that win over Liverpool, and Leeds supporters behind them even more, lifting Leeds even further. Bournemouth are a good side, and we'll be looking to exploit a shaky Leeds defence, and I can see them doing that, definitely, but I do think Leeds will just about manage to beat Bournemouth here. And for our final Saturday match, we've got Everton versus Leicester City. Leicester City travel to Merseyside to take on Everton, and this is an Everton side that have not lost in their last 5 meetings with Leicester. They've won 3 of them. I'll be looking to continue that run past this match. Leicester have got their season back on track though, despite a somewhat shaky start. They are still sitting in the relegation zone, but would be lifted out if they won this match. However, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Despite the positional differences, both teams are playing quite well, and I can see them struggling to break one another down. I think they're very evenly matched, obviously despite their positions on the table. DCL looks to be in good form despite being out for a while, whereas Leicester have good informed players such as Maddison. Both of those players were playing for a spot on the plane to Qatar. I personally think Maddison will get it over DCL, but that's something for them both to play for. I think they'll both be trying to put out their best performances, and it'll be a 1-1 draw. And finally, the Sunday fixtures, and we start with Chelsea versus Arsenal. Now, Chelsea has a top of the league Arsenal after falling to a very, very shocking defeat to Brighton. Chelsea have not been in the best of form recently, and especially after that loss to Brighton, they're looking to put that behind them and start winning matches again. Unfortunately, they're hosting Arsenal, who are top of the league. I don't think much teams will beat this Arsenal side, to be honest. But I'm going to say 3-1 to Arsenal, personally. Arsenal battered Chelsea in pre-season as well, let's not forget. I don't think it'll be as big of a battering as they received in America. I think Chelsea will be able to score here. They have the quality for that, but Arsenal are just the best side in the Prem at the moment, and I don't think Chelsea will have it in them to score. It'll be Aubameyang's first match against Arsenal since leaving, so that'll be very interesting. Maybe he scores, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, it'll be an interesting match. But I still think Arsenal are going to win this match quite easily. And then move on to Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Now this will be Emery's first game in charge of Villa, but I can see it being a very tough one for him. It'll be interesting to see how Villa will set up under him. I'm not sure we'll see that many changes, to be honest, but from what we've seen for Villa, I can't say they'll beat Manchester United. I'm going to say 2-0 to United. This United side under Ten Hag have become really, really good, and honestly it's sad to be reckoned with as the season goes on. They could very easily get Champions League football, but it's going to be a very tough battle for that, because there's loads of teams competing for it now, and they're all very good, so they could nab it. But there's attack and defence haven't been playing well, and this season they don't look great. I think United are a squad that they're going to really struggle to break down. Not like Brentford, not like, well, they didn't break down Newcastle. It's probably going to be a repeat of the Newcastle game. Maybe less goals, maybe their defence will be short up a bit, but I really can't see it. I don't think Villa's fortune is going to change with this match. I can't really see them troubling United at all, really. I just think this United side is too strong for Villa. And Emery will, unfortunately for him, lose his first match. And then move on to Southampton versus Newcastle United. Now the Saints impressively held Arsenal to a draw a couple of weeks ago, but were then narrowly defeated by Palace on the weekend. This is a Newcastle side which are currently flying, like Arsenal were, but they're sitting 4th in the league. I think Arsenal's problem was they didn't really turn on in the second half of that match. I don't think Newcastle will have that issue. I'm going to say 3-0 to Newcastle. Despite the shock win over Arsenal, Southampton were unable to break down the Palace side, but that wasn't for trying. They just had a lot of chances missed or saved. But yeah, Palace, they're not as powerful as this Newcastle side are. This Newcastle side it's in the ascendancy right now. They could very easily get Europe this season. Yeah, the attacking players that Newcastle have at their disposal are going to run riot. A lot of them are in form at the moment, so it's going to be really tough for Southampton to stop goals going in. And honestly, 3 could be a conservative estimate at this point because, as I said, those attacking players they're mental. And then move on to West Ham United versus Crystal Palace. The Eagles take a short trip across London to the London Stadium. And you know what? They might be up for it, you know. It's a little London derby. And Palace are currently above Hammers in the table with a game in hand. So this very much could be a game that swings it in their favour. However, I do not think it will be. I'm going to say 2-1 to West Ham. Palace's away form has not been great this season. And that's one of the reasons why I've put them down to lose this match. They haven't scored in 3 away games. And to add to that, West Ham were unbeaten in 7 home games. So it's not looking good for Palace at all, is it? Both sides are quite evenly matched, but I think West Ham just have that bit more quality in their side to finish off Palace. I'd say Palace would end their away goal scoring drought, but it is West Ham, and I think West Ham will easily finish off this Palace side, even if they do score. Yeah, I'm giving all 3 points to West Ham here. And finally, Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool, a very big clash as Conte's 11 was not rested during that Champions League match. He played pretty much a full 11 and they managed to scrape a win. It was a good match, fair play to them. This is Liverpool's side which are not doing well in the league. I didn't think I'd see the day where Tottenham not only above Liverpool but playing way better than they are. But here we are. I'm going to say 3-1 to Tottenham. Liverpool are floundering in the league after losing to 2 relegation zone teams, and Tottenham are not a relegation zone team. So you'd think they'd win. It's at home for Tottenham, they're performing really well. I can see them beat Liverpool here. In terms of quality, both teams are quite evenly matched, but in terms of performance, Tottenham are performing way better than Liverpool in the league. Currently sitting 3rd, whereas Liverpool, I think they're about 9th or 10th. It's not looking good for Klopp's side. It would be perfectly Spursy of them to get beaten by Liverpool here. I know they managed to shut out Man City, but then they lost 2 in a row. So either they're gonna beat Spurs by a single goal, or Spurs are going to dominate them. And I personally think Spurs will dominate Liverpool here. And yeah, that has been my Game Week 15 predictions for the Premier League. Do you have any other predictions? Please leave them in the comments. I do read them, even if I don't respond. To what you guys are saying. And yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.